So, this is kind of like a recap on how it went in general, just from my opinion. I'm just curious, um, what exactly do you think our audience is, or who do you think our audience is? And I'll explain why I'm asking that in a second.
I mean, I think right now it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I would say juniors, starting in juniors in college, all the way through. You mean up into? I mean, people change careers, and even if they're
Right.
first job, they still don't know what they want to do after second, third,
Exactly.
fourth job. So I think starting from like a sophomore, junior in college on, honestly, because look at Vienna, who we had the first week or our first episode. She's just getting into something that she really loves. Like this could help anyone, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I personally would consume, even though I'm in a career right now that, like, obviously I like and stuff, like, I would still consume this, if I'm on our website, blah, 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 I see, even, like, within my own field, like, if I'm, like, the age I am now, like a 27-year-old person working in, mental health and counseling, like, scoping out our site, like, I would check out the tab on, if we have one for mental health or education, like, whatever, and just, like, see where people are at, like, who's starting a new nonprofit, like, stuff like that, and just, like, I would still consume it, even I'm not a junior or senior in college anymore and necessarily need a career right now,
Yeah,
There's going to be core people that will listen, maybe every other one, but that's the beauty of having a Vienna who's a nonprofit scientist starting something in Uganda, and AJ, young hustler, couple practices over for acupuncturists. Like there's the branches that take us away from our core audience that I think is what will help us, is the variety.
I mean, like for me, I'm always looking to build my network of lawyers as well, and like especially in Boston, if I can find some people, years down the line that I can ex-athletes who I can reach out to and try to, who knows, maybe I need a new job, maybe I need something, and I can build my network. I think I would use it.
No doubt. So the reason I ask is, I'm constantly thinking of like ways that what we put on here could be the most valuable to whoever's listening, right? So for me, I think that everything AJ said was like, it's super interesting stuff, right? But for me, I would have liked to hear a lot about like more of like the why, and then how it translating into the how he did it, and not so much like the what it is, because the what it is super interesting, it's super cool, but it's super focused, and not everyone's going to end up being an acupuncturist, but people might take his path and what he did and kind of translate into that into what they're doing, and then help them on their way to a career. That's like
the motivation.
I think, right. And I think it's important to highlight that he's definitely not the norm. Like, think of the three of us and the decisions we went through in college. I mean, Gary, you're possibly, finding out what's next for you right now. I'm switching jobs. So he kind of had this idea since he was 15. And I think going back, we should have probably highlighted that when Ant was asking, or Kevin was asking him what's next. Like, we should have said, this is also with the mindset, you kind of had an idea that you were going to go into this whole time. And I think that was just an important differentiator between him and, I think of a lot of people out there where they're graduating and they're looking for any job, any foot in the door, anything that they could be somewhat relevant to their resume.
Right. Yeah.
I felt like, maybe we didn't illuminate it as much, but like when he was like talking about his, like I guess the influence of his dad, but then like the kind of revelation of his injury. I felt like,
and that's what I would have loved to continue to talk.
Being a holistic practitioner, like him having like a pretty tragic injury where he said like he was depressed, he gained weight. Like I felt like shit like that like becomes your why without kind of necessarily knowing it at the time.
Exactly.
So you're saying you wanted more of that.
Yeah, I would have liked to
could have dove in there more. But then it's tough because at that point I was like itching. I wanted to get to like his career.
Yeah. Right.
I understand.
I didn't want to stay in like the background of Wikipedia, where you're like looking at the early years, So it's kind of like being delicate with that.
Yeah, I understand. I just didn't want it to be like an educational on acupuncturing, but like highlighting like what he does and expressing not expressing, but just showing like how cool is what he does and all the interesting things that he does with that. But it was just like I was maybe it's just me. I was just getting really.
I agree in that, and I was thinking throughout like we can cut some of the sciencey stuff out that'll go over the vast majority of our listeners' heads. It's important in context, but if we want to drive home a catchy episode, we need to pick and choose like what's important, which I think is like the injury, the family influence, some stuff he's doing currently and his interests, obviously explaining, like what acupuncture is or how it differs from like traditional treatment, but not necessarily like things about like neurotransmitters in your brain, stuff like that.
I think some of the most relevant stuff was when he was talking about when he started his podcast and like why he started his podcast. Like building his network and like learning from other people. That's the stuff that's like key.
Right. 100%.
I feel like we only can get to that point if we go through like a process.
You're right.
Eventually, as we continue to do these, we'll be able to know like how to get into there sooner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't know how I would get to that question and response, kind of like in minute 11. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah. So like we have to either go two ways. It's either a specific script. Right, like, okay, your question's coming up, like whether it's native to this conversation or not, or you know what, if it's native to have that conversation early on, then we get there, and then somebody, aunt whatever corrals us back to being like, and then what's the day to day like? I mean, I don't know if there's one climax and then like boom, like here's the lesson, but I feel like he was, it guess it's tough to gauge.
Yeah, I think if you miss it, say, for instance, minute 36 to 42 is too much vocabulary, too sciencey. I mean, so then what? We cut it, and we still have a lengthy episode with a lot of material,
Yeah.
Even if we hit it, and in the moment of the actual live interview, we're going to scratch that, I don't think we interject and do it right there. You know what I mean?
No, you're right.
There's endless lessons in this. Just the notes I put down of like the timestamps where he went through the benefits. He goes through opiate problems. So if that touches a nerve with our audience, that's how we get it out there. Starting a podcast, that's how you get out there. Finding a niche in what you do. Having a work-life balance was an important thing for him. Finding a mentor.
The niche part, the mentorship part, the hustle. Like I feel like those will be things that we will use as like part of the way we title the episode and what we want the audience to gauge.
Like when you said you're a generalist, you're a master of nothing. Like that is like a catchy little like you know what I mean? Yeah. He kept saying that over and over again.
Master of nothing.
Ooh.
What was the other line? The more you learn, the more you earn, or something like that.
Yeah.
Money follows knowledge.
When he was talking about like that network of like mastermind people that he somehow found his way into, he was telling me about that, and they like flew him out to like Toronto, and he was like in what's that one university in Canada that's like
McGill.
Yeah.
So like a ton of like health research comes out of there, I guess, and they were like at a conference there, and somehow he found his way there with like these bigwigs in the field, and they were like dudes that worked for like the New Jersey Devils, like all these like super cool people. So like he's not self-made in that he grew up like in a affluent area. He had the influence of his dad, like blah blah blah. But in his life right now, like he definitely hustles his career, which I think is like, which is like important because like it's almost like when you're hustling when you're already in the field, and people I feel like think like the hustle happens like before this and then it stops. You know what I mean?
Right. He's just getting started.
Yeah.
Because he could have easily just been an acupuncturist, a comfy spot.
Sure.
But he's not cut from that cloth. Like, he's constantly trying to learn and engage, and he's generally curious about what he does. So I think that's probably, you don't just do that in a career you're not passionate about. Because he's passionate, I think it allows him to have a podcast that bleeds over into 1 a.m. when he's got, somebody else, his like girlfriend or wife at home, so you don't just force that on something. Like he said, if you're a CPA and that's not what you want to do, you're either somebody's forcing you to stay up that late and working, or you're not going to be doing these side projects like he's doing.
Right. But overall, I think there's a lot to take from that one.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good content there that we can hash through, which would be cool to kind of concise and fine tune. I think.
I agree.
Cool. Well, I'll get intro, outro stuff over to you, Gary. I'll record that all. I'm recording the recap now. I mean, we can have that. The idea was kind of have our recap as like something on YouTube or a visual.
Did you cut it?
It's still going right now.
Yeah.
I can cut it already. Any last words?
Nah.